how does AI increase productivity by 20x? Can you just give me an example? And where does that money go, and how does that get distributed to the people who need it?
Well, it depends where you use it. It can be used in government so that government can be more effective in government as a service. We're starting to see some of that in the military. It hasn't really spilled over, but over the next 10 years, that's our time frame. If you look at supply chain, it's now starting to be integrated. I have companies that are integrated into supply chain so that we can optimize supply chain. Look at what Apple does with it. Why do you think?
Look how well that's working right now.
Well, it's because it's being introduced now because of all the problems that are being created with the supply chain. That's how people are responding to the problem.
I think you're actually selling a bigger myth here, because you say we're selling a myth, but we're not really.
I totally
we're just
agree,
telling
Peter.
we're telling a story about something that is actually working, which is provable. We can prove it's actually working on a micro and a macro scale. You're selling a myth whereby you think we'll get a 20x increase in productivity because of AI. I think that's a much larger myth, and it's quite disingenuous.
I use that as a hypothetical, right? I didn't say we will get a 20x, but I can tell you that if you talk to anybody who's literate in AI, they'll think they can do more.
I just think you're just throwing out the buzzword AI, and we're just totally avoiding the real conversation, which is central banks. Mark,
go get your AI expert and bring up your AI expert. I'm not going to be an expert, but I fucking took all the time it took to be able to create neural networks.
So, you know what, Mark? Some of us have also taken the TensorFlow course on Google and set up deep neural nets and played around with it. Like, I get it, right? I see it. It's a talking point, right? But at the end of the day, central banks cannot stop QE. That's the point. Lynn's up here. Lynn, tell us your opinion. Can central banks stop doing QE, or are they in a do loop that they have to keep taking rates low, or else everything implodes?
I think they can stop for a period of time. They can do another cycle probably, but they'll be kind of put back into the same track they've been on for the past decade.
So like 5-10 years, Lynn, can they stop doing what they're doing?
No, structurally, I don't think they're going to be able to do that for quite a while. They're going to have to believe at least real rates are going to be negative for, I think, a pretty persistent period of time.
Okay. I'm not going to argue with that.
See, the point is, Mark, is that you've been very successful and you're a gazillionaire, and it doesn't really affect you the way it affects a lot of other people. And as somebody who's worked alongside many of the great people in this spaces, we understand how Bitcoin has actually given people optionality, people who don't really have much, and a chance to actually save, and if they're patient, to increase the value of what they have. But whatever level of inflation, you're still going to be able to fly a private jet and buy players for your team, and it doesn't really affect you. You're not compelled to really care about this, and I think that's why you can have a bit of fun with Dogecoin. And if people get wrecked and lose all their money, it doesn't really affect you. But we're seeing work on the ground that's being done globally on a macro scale, and also on a micro scale in different communities, where Bitcoin is literally changing people's lives. And the thing is, it's a real shame, because you have a platform, you have a big audience, and if you actually did the work like the people in this room have done it, you would understand what this could do for people. Yet you seem to be more interested in promoting what are essentially scams and complete shitcoins. It's quite sad, really, mate.
Okay, let me ask you a question. Wait, who was I talking to? Is that Peter?
Yeah, it's me, mate.
Okay. Go to markcuban.com and look at all the companies I'm invested in, and look at all the entrepreneurs that I work with, and all the employees that I have that I work with. And then read a little bit about my history. And you think this is all about, well, I'm rich, I can't relate. Fuck you. Right? I've been sleeping on the floor. I've been so fucking broke, I had holes in my floor. Right? I don't need to go back there to understand and remind myself. And I work with people that are trouble, you name it. Right? I don't need to defend myself, because I make a point to help people. That's why I'm on Shark Tank. Not because I'm trying to make more money, because I'm trying to encourage people to go out and start their own businesses. And you do what maxis do, Peter, by deflecting. Well, you can't understand this. You can't do this or that. You're fucking like Elizabeth Warren.
I mean, that's just really disingenuous.
You know, hey, Mark, I'll give you this. I agree with what Peter said, but at the same time, I can agree with your comeback, right? And you know what? You being in this room right now, just battling out with us, says so much about you that I appreciate, right? So, like, kudos to you to step in here and battle with us on a Saturday night so that 10,000 people can listen in on this, right? But at the same time, I agree with what Peter's saying. I don't think you've done the hard work to understand this, and I think that you got a lot of stuff going on, right, man? Like you got a lot of stuff. I got it, but I think you need to dig into this way more than what you've done. Just my personal opinion.
Okay, so you gave me typical maxi dismissal, right? Coins. They're all shit coins. Everything, you're wrong. And that could be the undermining of Bitcoin as much as anything.
Hey,
But you know what? There are others that are good. And for a lot of applications, they're a whole lot better. And while everything that you've told me about the future of Bitcoin is reliant on net lightning, it's growing 4%. I can walk in anywhere in El Salvador. It's not alone. They're way ahead of you, right? There's other networks, other applications, other platforms way ahead of you. And now they're also coming up with other applications. Put aside the collectibles market and people I know buying rocks and crypto punks and all that, trying to make money. That's great. More power to them, right? There's more. I like them. But at the same time, that's just a proof of concept. All the NFT smart contract stuff on all the platforms, that's just proof of concept for all the other applications.
Mark, do you you called us you called a couple of us maxis now.
Let me just
Do you understand?
point.
No, I just want to say because do you understand the difference between Bitcoin and all these other networks? Because it's like going to like if I asked you about which car to buy and then you presented me a bicycle,
No,
they're fundamentally different because I know they all exist, but Bitcoin and crypto are very different. Do you understand the difference between Bitcoin and crypto? Because it's a real fundamental point. Because if you don't, this conversation is kind of
Preston,
it's a bit pointless.
here. And Peter, you're very, very clear about the decentralization and the nodes and what happened in China being exemplary and how that decentralization is protecting. I understand it very well. What I also understand is why and how consumers buy. Also understand how businesses try to improve their productivity. And remember the story I told about the early days of the internet with starting streaming, when everybody would just laugh. Why the fuck would I, do something with the internet? Why would I do anything with the internet when I can just turn on a TV? Everybody laughed. When I started the first all high definition television, everybody laughed. No one's going to buy these 25, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm used to going against the grain. And let me just tell you, people will follow the path of least resistance for the application they want to use. They will listen
Mark,
to myth.
I've got something good to put to you then, Mark.
I want to.
Do you think just give me this one, Rob, and then I'll hand over because I know I'm dominating. Mark, do you think within the next 5 years that any other cryptocurrency will become legal tender in a country?
It's possible.
Do you want to make a bet on it? I bet you 100 grand right now that it doesn't happen within 5 years.
Oh, no, because I think if it works at all for El Salvador, then another small country will adopt it. Why wouldn't they?